Hi everybody, it's me Yoshi Player. Welcome to another video for YP's Thoughts and a first for me talking about streaming services. But I'm not alone, I'm joined by my friend known as TheCartoonOG. I originally used to call him TMNT Dude, but he changed that name a long time ago.
Oh, Bunga Dudes. Well, the TheCartoonOG is a name I've actually used beforehand. I just used TMNT Dude for my username on over on the wikis because I tried going with the username the TheCartoonOG, but something went wrong when I tried to set up that account and I couldn't retrieve it, so I had to make another account for Wiki.
Thanks for not mentioning a particular wiki. Anyway, so hey everybody, I know it's been a while since I've done a YP's Thoughts video, but I needed to get something out because I realized I haven't made many videos. So today we are talking about a streaming service. The first time that I've ever talked about a streaming service. It's Disney Plus, the new streaming service from Disney. What a shock. So essentially we'll break down everything that's on the service and how it functions. So what is Disney Plus, you're probably asking. For those who don't know, it's a streaming service from Disney that I believe was first announced 2 years ago from this point. I think it was like late 2017 it was announced.
I don't remember exactly when. I actually don't remember hearing anything about it until sometime last year.
I mean, I'd heard there was a streaming service, but I don't think Disney announced the name until now. Or at least last year, I don't know. I don't know actually a lot about the history behind the streaming service. All I know is that it's a thing, it exists, and we're going to talk about it.
And it's basically in the whole line of streaming wars that's coming up when Disney used to mostly license their stuff out to Netflix, but now they have their own, and here we're here to talk about it.
Even though there are still a few Disney movies on Netflix, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, it's because they're still tied up in the agreements they did with Netflix, which don't expire for a while.
Ah, right. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So, if you want to check out the service for yourself, I believe it's $6.99 a month in America and $10 a month for Australians. And it will be coming in the UK in March. So, unless you know how to use a VPN, then go nuts. Anyway, so how does the service function? Well, how Disney Plus is often advertised as is it like basically when you start the service, you're greeted with several options. Disney Plus is divided into several categories. You've got Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic, all lined up on the main menu, and you can get started with what you want to watch. And I'll just say right off the bat that if there's one thing I actually love Disney Plus more than Netflix is the UI is just it's very user friendly.
Yes, it is. In fact, it's actually the most user-friendly streaming service I've seen so far, and I have Netflix. I haven't used too many. The only other ones I have are Amazon Prime and DC Universe, and Amazon Prime can be a bit annoying to navigate through. That's not the case here. I've also heard that Hulu can be a nightmare to navigate through, but I've never used Hulu, so I can't comment on that.
And I don't have Hulu like at all, so I can't necessarily sum up what is going on over there. But we
I
all
actually did
sorry,
I
go ahead.
actually didn't know until I actually didn't know until just a little bit ago that Hulu is exclusive in the United States. It's made me wonder what it's like for Hulu originals in other countries.
I don't know. I personally don't know too much about Hulu, so I can't comment. But I mean, yeah, Disney Plus's interface is very user friendly. It helps you on what you want to find, how you want to find it, and just get yourself comfortable and watch whatever you want. And
Uh,
like even when you search for something, it'll know exactly what you're looking for. Like for example, if you want to type in something related to Christmas, I'm pretty sure all the Christmas movies will show up on the search bar.
not to,
Sorry.
and not to mention the search engine. Not to mention the search engine even has its own little category boxes for things you want to find.
Yeah, like if
Things
you want.
related to Pixar, Disney, Mickey Mouse, Star Wars. There's a couple for Star Wars. There's one titled Darth Vader, and there's another one. I can't remember what the other one's titled. There's also one for Disney Channel. But like I said, it's very easy to use. And one thing I also love compared to other streaming services is that when you go onto a TV show, it's everything you want is right there. You don't have to mouse over to the tab to open each season. It's all right there in front of you.
Like all you do is just scroll past each episode and you find it. They're all lined up in by season, and that's wonderful.
Like I said, the fact that you don't have to mouse over a tab just to open each season makes it more convenient, which is how Netflix works and how others work as well.
Yeah, and Although I will say one thing I think is kind of missing from Netflix, which is one feature I kind of liked, was that there's no way to rate what you're watching. Like you can't give stuff a rating, you just watch it. You can add stuff to your watch list, but that's as far as you can go.
And yeah, that would have been nice to do, especially since I know Netflix has that thumbs up, thumbs down option. You have the ability to give 5 stars, and you can even write reviews on Amazon Prime. Well, then again, it's Amazon.com where you buy things. So similar to how you can buy and rate objects that you buy on the site, you can also do that with the original shows on their streaming service.
Right. I mean, I know there's other websites where you can rate movies like Letterboxd, but I don't know. For a streaming service, it would have been a little bit more convenient. Although one problem I was originally going to bring up that was sort of fixed a few days ago was the lack of a resume option, but then they added it without really letting me know.
I don't know if you're going to find this weird, but I didn't really care too much that there wasn't that resume option, but other people weren't happy with it, so I'm happy that they're happy.
I mean, I personally was a little annoyed
But
by it,
personally,
but like, cause like I tried watching an episode of Darkwing Duck, the video started buffering, and so I had to exit out and go back in, and it started right from the beginning. That was kind of annoying, but it's nice that they added it. So thanks, Disney. But
to
anyway,
mention, it looks like not to mention it also looks like Disney's been listening to some complaints people have had, and they've acted on it pretty well as far as I've seen.
not all nitpicks. We'll get to that in just a little while later. But yeah, so that's how the interface goes down. Let's talk about the content because holy
Oh
shit,
yeah,
there is a lot of content on Disney Plus. There's like over what thousands of content on Disney Plus. You've got like over
yeah,
500 movies, over 7,500 plus episodes of TV shows. There's a lot of stuff here, and it can be overwhelming for those people.
yeah. Like I said, when I first went on there, I was overwhelmed by the sheer amount of content. I mean, I pretty much knew stuff I wanted to watch from the get go, but I was just overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my god, there's so much content here. I mean, even when I first got Netflix, I didn't have this much trouble selecting something.
It's like, where did I start? What did I start off with? Of course, I started off with some of the originals. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But for a Disney fan like myself, the content is overwhelming. You've got pretty much all the Disney movies, and I mean all the animated ones, including the Disney sequels, which is a bit of a shame. But, I mean, Disney have said they were going to have everything on here, so I guess I'm not bothered by that.
That's actually one thing I like is that unlike other streaming services, when it comes to the various content, there's not going to be content rotation like we've seen on Netflix and various others because Disney owns everything that's on here, so they're not going to lose stuff. It's just going to get bigger over time.
I think that might also explain why Disney Plus is a little bit cheaper than Netflix because Netflix has to like pay for the rights. Disney owns everything. So they can just put whatever they want on there without any trouble.
Whether it's their own content, whether it's stuff from Pixar, Disney, I mean, sorry, Marvel, Star
Disney,
Wars,
Disney.
20th Century Fox. Yeah, just a bit of a mistake there. Sorry, but
It's fine. But anyway, yeah, like
yeah,
I didn't know where to start. So there's a lot of stuff here. Like if you want to watch whatever you want on Disney Plus, you're pretty much going to get it on there. All the Disney movies, all the Pixar films, at least for my service anyway. You got a handful of Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies. There's a lot to sink your teeth into. And of course, you've got your stuff from 20th Century Fox, which isn't advertised as much as the other platforms, which is a bit of an odd decision, but there's a lot of Fox
as
content here. Of course, you've got The Simpsons, you've got all the seasons on there, which, even though I personally think The Simpsons is a little bit out of place for something related to Disney, for
I
someone like myself, it's great to have every episode on there because as of right now, Australia has not had a way to watch every episode of The Simpsons on a streaming service before.
I agree with that completely. For the longest time, for the longest time I felt the same way that The Simpsons doesn't really feel like it fits with Disney, but at the same time, though, it is great to have it there, and not to mention the fact that you pretty much have all the available seasons, and once the next ones finish airing, they'll be added on there as well. It's
But
very convenient, especially for somebody who wants to have access to the show in one place and isn't able to get the show on DVD.
plus, it's just a great way for me to rewatch all my favorite episodes. Like I rewatched a few classic episodes. It's so great to rewatch them again. Like I know
It's so great.
I have them on DVD for sure, but Disney Plus just feels more convenient.
That does, and I do own most of the show. I have seasons 1 through 14 on DVD, but it's still great to own a lot of them. And Not to mention the fact that the TV is not available. That's where my Blu-ray player is hooked up. I can just watch them on there
Right, although I find it a little odd that we didn't get season 30. We only got up to 29 over here.
because we have everything all the way up to season 30. And not
Yeah,
to mention, we have pretty much everything on there. Like, in addition to like all the Disney movies, we also have a lot of stuff from Disney Television. We even have a lot of the old like Mickey Mouse cartoons and various shorts, which were pretty cool. In fact, I saw the short Mickey's Rival for the first time not too long ago. It was pretty neat.
yeah, I like having all the shorts on there. I mean, obviously they don't have every short, but there's a lot of shorts if you're a Mickey Mouse fan. And they have a few of the movies on there. They have the 2013 Mickey Mouse show, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, like
They also have some of
it's
the Disney
cool that
shows from what I've seen.
it's cool that they have. Did you just say Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
Oh, I said Silly Symphonies.
Okay, thank God, because I was about to say if you mentioned that show, I'm gonna cry in a bad way.
Yeah, I saw that they had a few of the Silly Symphonies. And not to mention when it comes to TV, they have a wide range of things, and it's kind of cool that they have that because they have so much in terms of Disney television, ranking from the original Disney afternoon. You know, you have DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, to some of the later '90s stuff like Recess, to the later Disney Channel shows like Phineas and Ferb. There's a lot of content on there.
Like whether you're a Disney Afternoon fan or you're someone who's more of a fan of the new cartoons, there's certainly a lot of content here. Like for me, as someone who has always watched the old Disney cartoons, coming back to shows like DuckTales and Darkwing Duck especially was just like rolling back to memory lane again. And of course, I haven't even mentioned Gravity Falls. Like I was so happy to see that on there as well. I haven't rewatched the show yet, but I'm planning to eventually. So when it comes to TV shows, yeah, there's so many shows on here. Even shows you wouldn't normally expect to be on there.
That's Speaking of which, one thing that's really surprising going back to the whole thing with TV shows is when it comes to going back to the Disney afternoon, I find it kind of weird that the Aladdin TV series isn't on there, but they have the Little Mermaid cartoon, Hercules, and the Lilo and Stitch TV show, but not Aladdin, which I find kind of weird because I know the Aladdin cartoon was one of the bigger hits from the Disney afternoon back in the day.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they'll add it later on. I mean, keep
Also,
in mind that they will add more stuff eventually.
so there's all that, and not to mention they also have other things too. Like, of course, they have stuff related to the Muppets. We haven't mentioned that yet, but they don't have the original Muppet show, and that really stinks.
My guess is probably due to copyright reasons. Even though the first three seasons were released on DVD, I don't understand that fact. I mean, maybe
But it
I mean maybe they'll add it eventually, but we'll have to wait and see.
but it would be good to have that. I mean, it's good that they have most of the Muppet movies. Like they have the original Muppet movie, that's great. They have the Great Muppet Caper. They have Muppet Treasure Island, Muppet Christmas Carol, the 2011 film, and Muppets Most Wanted. The only two Muppet films they don't have are Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppets from Space, which ironically are the only two I've never seen.
But I'm guessing it's because they're not technically owned by Disney. I think they were Sony releases, from what I could remember.
Yeah, the funny thing is though is that I know the original Muppet movie and Green Muppet Caper they weren't originally distributed by Disney either, but I guess because I think they were distributed by the Henson family and basically they gave all the rights to the Muppets. And like I said, they don't have the original Muppet Show, but they do have the short-lived 2015 series on there, and there's also going to be an original series of Muppet shorts coming on there in the near future.
I mean, I suppose it's great to see some Muppet representation on Disney Plus, but I mean, come on, just give us the original show. It would be nice to see how it all started.
Not to mention the Muppets feel like the one acquired franchise that Disney doesn't seem to do much with. I mean, they do so much stuff with Marvel and Star Wars, yet with the Muppets, it feels like they get the shaft most of the time.
That is a shame. And although before we move on, I want to quickly mention that a few titles in the US Disney Plus are on our Disney Plus, which kind of surprised me. Like you guys don't get titles like Coco until November later on, I believe.
Yeah, sometime later this month, and as the rest of this year goes by, and as the next couple of years go by, we're going to start getting other things like Coco. Like I said, it's because all the recent things from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, they're still tied up in the Netflix agreement. So we're not going to get Coco. We're not going to get The Last Jedi. We're not going to get some of the recent Marvel films like Thor Ragnarok or Infinity War just yet.
It's funny because we have all those titles here already, which is odd, but I don't know. I suppose that's lucky for us, I suppose.
Lucky for you guys. But like I said, once the Netflix agreements pretty much expire, that's the funny thing is though is that a lot of other things they're not on Netflix, but for some reason they can't come on here later either. So some animated movies like Frankenweenie and even many of the late even well well I don't really care that these aren't on there. A lot of the live action remakes. Well, it would be nice if the Jungle Book was on there, but the rest of them I don't care.
Yeah, it's like we have Jungle Book, that's great, but I don't give a shit about the others. The day they add Lion King is gonna be the day I loathe in sorrow.
I haven't seen that, and I'm probably just going to keep avoiding it. But like I said, as far as I know, those aren't on Netflix. So what exactly is preventing them from coming on Disney Plus is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the only comparison when it comes to other territories. Now that we've gotten out of the way, let's talk about some of the original stuff because yes, Disney Plus has its own
Talk about what?
originals, much like Netflix does. I have to admit though, I haven't actually seen every original on the service. The only two shows I've seen are Forky Asks a Question and The Mandalorian.
I've seen quite a few of the. I haven't seen too many of them either, but yeah, I have seen The Mandalorian, and it's a pretty cool show. And Forky asks the question is very charming and cute. I really like it, and they also put the Pixar Spark shorts on there. I had seen the first three because the first three of the Spark shorts, Pearl, Smash and Grab, and Kidful, they were put on Pixar's YouTube channel earlier this year. So Float was the only new one when the service came out. But
And
yeah, so far all the Pixar Spark shorts have been great.
yeah, I'm sure they've got more coming out in the future. But when it comes to originals, unfortunately for me, that's about it. Outside of those two, I haven't seen anything else. I'm obviously not gonna watch the Lady and the Tramp remake because I don't care about the live action remakes. And I haven't watched Noelle, but I haven't heard many good things about it, so I don't know.
I was actually surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Lady and the Tramp's reception was meh, but I was surprised that Noel's reception was even worse.
Well, Disney. Let's hope that Disney at least puts more good original content on there. And we've got more
Yes,
on the way. We'll have to wait and see. But when it comes to the originals, I mean, yeah, there's a few things you could sink your teeth into. But when it comes to me, I've only seen two out of what they have to offer, not counting the Spark shorts. So, yeah, Disney, if you can, put some better originals on there, please.
and I still haven't seen some of the other ones. Like I still haven't seen Marvel Hero Project, The Imagineering Story, or The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I might check those out because those sound kind of cool. And I know Muppet Spot wants me to check out The Imagineering Story because he loves stuff related to the parks, and I'm curious to check it out myself.
I mean, yeah, this opinion could change. I haven't seen every Disney original yet, but we'll have to wait and see. And
So far, but so far it seems like for the originals, yeah, it does look like they are going to deliver. And not to mention in the future, they are going to pack out a bunch more originals. Though funny enough, some of the upcoming originals, even though there's a lot of interesting ones, it seems like similar to what I said earlier, it kind of seems like Disney is putting a lot of emphasis on some of the required content because they have the Mandalorian, which is Star Wars, and they have other stuff too, which includes another season of the Clone Wars, which I think to myself, didn't that show have enough seasons already? And not to mention, they're going to go crazy with original Marvel stuff in the future.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like Disney's just putting a lot of emphasis on just delivering as much as it can. I suppose to keep that subscription going, but still.
Like I said, I have nothing against that, but doesn't it seem like they put a bit too much emphasis on Marvel and Star Wars at times?
Yeah, it does seem like it. I mean,
I have nothing against it because I love Star Wars and I'm slowly starting to get a bit more into Marvel. I've never been to it, but I am planning on checking out the entire MCU on there when I can.
right. And I obviously haven't seen every Marvel movie, but there are some that I haven't seen yet, so that'll be able to sink my
Like I
teeth
said,
into.
yeah, like I said, I do plan on checking. I think it's because I've always been more of a DC person, but I have also been wanting to check out Marvel as well. So
Yeah. So I guess now we can move on to the nitpicks that we have with Disney Plus. The first one I should probably mention is kind of a big problem, is that it's been reported that thousands of accounts have already been hacked, which I think the first issue I should probably state is Disney probably needs to update their security a little bit better. Because if thousands of accounts have already been hacked and their service has only been out for nearly a week now, that's not good. Like, that's not good.
and not to mention when I saw that there were hacked accounts up for sale, all I thought to myself is, I mean, I mean, I was already upset by that because every time I hear about this, all I can think to myself is, those freaking computer hackers always doing stuff like this. But hacking is nothing new. Hacking happens all over the place on various webs. I mean, even people's email accounts get hacked. But like I said, this really feels like they should set up security. And I heard that Disney has responded to it and they have been acting on it.
Well, that's a good thing at least. But I suppose all I can say is if you want to get Disney Plus, have a strong password, and my other advice is use a new email address because then hackers won't be able to figure it out so easily.
Advice, dude.
Yeah. Now, as for actual nitpicks with the service, I stated earlier that one of my original nitpicks was the lack of a resume feature, but they added that, so well done, Disney. The only two nitpicks I have, the first is shows have episodes out of order.
Yeah, I was totally surprised when I first started watching Phineas and Ferb, and not only were the episodes out of order, but they weren't even in the original broadcast order, which is out of order, but still none of that stuff. I mean, Roller Coaster isn't even in the first episode for season one.
I mean, I suppose for episodic shows, it's not that big of an issue, but when you talk about serialized shows like the new DuckTales reboot, it's a problem. And I know there are people out there that can make lists, but the fact that Disney didn't even get their episode order right is a problem. You'd think they'd have more time to analyze which episodes are in the right order, and they're not. So, why? I mean, some shows have episodes in order, but then others don't, so what's going on?
And you know, you know what I was really weirded out by when I first saw this?
What?
Two of the seasons of The Simpsons, seasons 9 and 13, they had episodes out of order. But then the next day I checked them again and they were corrected. How come nothing else has been corrected yet?
Feedback, probably.
I guess because it was pretty annoying, especially when going through like certain shows like Phineas and Ferb and some of the other shows. And but like I said, though, I'm just glad that others like with the, I know with the Disney Afternoon, quite a few of them. In fact, for a lot of them, like Darkwing Duck, Ducktales, and Tailspin, the pilots are not the first thing on there. They're basically scattered. At least with Gargoyles, that's okay, and that's good because Gargoyles is more of a serialized show than the other Disney Afternoon series. But still, the episodes being out of order is annoying regardless.
Yeah, but hopefully they can fix this issue in the future. I should actually say this is my biggest issue. Now, granted, the next one is another big issue, but it is going to get fixed. That second issue is, I'm pretty sure everybody's already argued about it. I mentioned that even though it's great that The Simpsons is on there, despite how out of place it feels, the older episodes are cropped to widescreen. And I'm sorry, but I hate it when people do this. It's just not good. It looks so jarring when it's in widescreen now.
Not to mention the fact that by cropping it, they even cut out certain things in the frame. I remember when I saw Cape Fear on there last week, I was actually really surprised to see that certain frames where the entire character's body wasn't fully in frame, and there was even a couple of things that were cut out, or characters appeared a bit stretched out or like blown up or something. I don't know what's the best way to say it. Like they felt a bit like inflated a bit from the original aspect ratio, and it's just yeah, like I said, I don't know the best way to describe it, but yeah, it is pretty annoying, and they did this with all the pre HD episodes.
Yeah, I mean, of course, all the HD episodes are in their correct aspect ratio because they were always in widescreen. But the earlier episodes, I don't care if Disney's trying to make the episodes more aesthetically pleasing. Essentially, cutting out like a good 30% of the animation is just wrong for me.
Yes, it is.
But like I said, this probably won't be an issue for long because Disney has responded to this backlash and they are going to fix it in early 2020. So that's a good thing.
I'm definitely happy that they're going to be doing that because the whole thing was really annoying. Also, going back to The Simpsons, one of the other things that really surprised me is that none of the episodes are edited.
Actually, yeah, that's one thing I probably should have said. Even though the cropping issue is annoying, I will say it could have been a lot worse. They could have censored out certain episodes, or even the movie, but they didn't. They left pretty much everything intact, which surprised me.
The Simpsons doesn't have anything in it that's too bad for kids, but still, it is surprising that nothing was edited. And from what I've heard that nothing else is really censored on there either. You told me that you watched The Sandlot, and you said that nothing in it was censored.
No, everything in The Sandlot, that's the first time I've watched the movie, by the way. Everything was pretty much left the same from what I can remember. Well, from what I've seen anyway. Like I said, it was the first time I watched the movie.
Because you told me that moments where they swear wasn't cut out.
No, I believe they weren't cut out.
I haven't seen the movie on there yet, but I am going to because it's a movie I grew up with, and I've never owned it on DVD, so I really wanted to watch it. And from what you told me, I'm probably also going to guess that Who Framed Roger Rabbit isn't edited either.
Oh, dude, I rewatched that last night. It's not edited either. Everything is the same. Like, it could have been noticeable when they cut something out, but nope, it's the same, which is great.
That's cool. Good on you, Disney.
Yeah.
Thank you for not compromising anything by editing certain things out or changing up things like what they would do on television broadcasts.
Oh, yeah, that is really annoying. So, those are the only nitpicks I have. I suppose the last thing I can say about Disney Plus is how it stacks up to other streaming services. This is hard for me because the only other streaming service I have is Netflix. I don't have anything else other than this and Netflix, so comparing it to those is going to be tricky. But I know you had more streaming services than I do, so I'll let you speak for yourself.
I have Netflix as well, and I also have Amazon Prime and DC Universe. But those are the only ones I've had. I've never had any other streaming services, and I don't plan on getting any more anytime soon because I think I've already got enough at the moment. I mean, I have four. That's quite a bit already.
I mean, I don't,
Like I
I
said,
don't, I don't pay for Netflix, but I do pay for Disney Plus, and everybody in my house uses it, so they better be freaking thankful.
I pay for all four of the ones I have, and even with some of them, I debated. I actually wasn't even going to get DC Universe originally, but when I saw all the stuff they had on there, I was like, oh, I want to get this. And same thing with Disney Plus. I debated for months on end if I was going to get it or not, but after a while, I thought, hey, I'm a huge Disney fan. I really want to see all this cool stuff they have on here, so I'm going to get it.
Right. So I yeah, I can't comment too much on it. I'll say this much though, this isn't necessarily my final thoughts. Compared to Netflix, I don't think Disney Plus has much variety. Now, in terms of Disney stuff, there's a lot of stuff there. But when it comes to genres and things like that, there's not as much to sink your teeth into as much as Netflix. I mean, there's no R-rated content or anything above that. You don't get your horror movies, you don't get your action. Well, you do get action, but like not extreme action movies. You don't get any of that. Your maximum rating is PG-13. So, if you want to get into Disney Plus for something more extreme, I don't think you'll find that.
At the same time though, that is good news for families because I do know Disney Plus does offer this option, but unlike Netflix or other streaming services, because it's Disney and for the most part it's family friendly, parents don't have to worry about having to filter the content for their kids that much.
Yeah, and kids do have their own accounts that are accessed strictly for kids, so that's a good thing.
But like I said, even though Disney Plus does offer it, unlike Netflix or other streaming services, yeah, they don't really have to filter the content for their kids because there's really nothing on there that's too questionable for them to discover. I mean,
So yeah, if you're someone who has a family, I think Disney Plus will probably be the perfect streaming service for you.
and like I said, and so far from what I've seen, I really love Disney Plus. To me, even though I do have Amazon Prime, I kind of think that I really enjoy Disney Plus so much that in a lot of ways, I think it could almost be a second fiddle to Netflix.
Yeah, though that now that's for my final thoughts. Even though I don't quite like it as much as Netflix for the amount that Netflix has, I still love Disney Plus. And even as someone who's obviously a Disney fan, there's so much that I haven't even covered like 10% of what's on Disney Plus yet. So
Same
So I suppose the only thing I can say is, if you got a family, I think Disney Plus is the perfect streaming service for you. If you're someone who's not really into Disney that much, but you're into other things like Pixar or Marvel, I would be a little skeptical on recommending Disney Plus because again, it's mostly a lot of family friendly stuff for families, of course. So if you want something more extreme, I would go for Netflix, but if you love Disney, I think Disney Plus could be the perfect service for you.
Disney Plus is a really great service for someone like myself. And going back to what you said, they do have a lot of things that can cater towards various fans. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some people that subscribe to it simply because of Marvel and Star Wars. I mean, yeah, those are two of the biggest things that have large fandoms at this moment. So I would be surprised. And due to the fact that even though it's mostly a family thing, Disney is universal, and same thing with Pixar. It doesn't matter what age you are. People of all ages love Pixar films. They love Disney films. It's very universal. So it's really hard for me to not recommend Disney Plus. Like I said, I think it could almost be a second fiddle to Netflix. Even though so far I would still say Netflix is better in terms of variety and appealing to a more wide audience. But still, Disney Plus is definitely worth it, and I definitely recommend.
Yeah, I mean, unlike Netflix, I'm still struggling to find stuff to watch on Disney Plus. Though tonight, I will be rewatching a classic Pixar film because it just turned 20 years old today.
Happy anniversary to Toy Story 2, 20 years old today.
Yes, I cannot wait to rewatch this. This is my favorite animated film of all time. I am not joking.
I love Toy Story 2. It's probably going to be the first Pixar film I've only watched a couple of films on Disney Plus so far. The very first movie I watched on there was The Muppets 2011, and last week I watched a Goofy movie for the first time, but I haven't really watched any other movies, so I guess Toy Story 2 will be the next one I watch on there.
Yeah, same thing for me. The first Pixar movie I rewatch. I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, this was a fun discussion. Thanks for having me on here, bro.
No problem. I really enjoyed making this video. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our thoughts, and maybe it'll make you consider more getting Disney Plus if you're interested. So yeah, until then, Disney, I'm glad I'm still a fan of you guys, even though you can be real money hungry sometimes with your fucking live action remakes. I still love you
Oh yeah,
regardless. I'm only harsh on Disney because I love them.
same here. Even though Disney has pulled actions that are very morally reprehensible and can be considered basically nothing but corporate greed, I love them regardless. And like I said, because the amount of content that they have and everything they have that has so much attention and love put into it, it's really hard to hate them because the content is great. It's just that the company itself can be questionable at times. But no matter what happens, I still love Disney, and I always will.
Yeah, so whether you want to sink your teeth into Disney or Pixar or get some action on with Marvel or have a laugh with something like The Simpsons, then Disney Plus is for you. So I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do. But until then, again, TheCartoonOG, thank you so much for joining me in this video. It's always fun to have
Yeah,
discussions and not just by myself.
hopefully we can do another one soon.
Hopefully. Anyway, and until next time, guys, thank you for watching and keep on playing.